MIT's Computer Science and Artificial Intelligence Laboratory says it's taken a huge step forward in predicting the future. Computers were shown 2 years of raw video to help them understand a present ongoing situation, several of them. In fact, they're shown one still frame and asked to predict its outcome. For example, we have a handshake prediction. Here it's shown a photograph, it was correct, a handshake happened. Then what about a kiss? The photograph was shown, she went in for a kiss. It was correct on the part of the computer. Now then the computer thought Michael Scott was going in for a handshake. Instead, he forced a high five. So that was incorrect on the computer's part. Well, the computer then creates a visual of its guest. Now, 20% of video predictions by the computer appear to be realistic and correct when shown to humans. The video it creates, though, is a bit wobbly, not like the TV shows we saw. Now, in previous attempts, computers looked at an image and then tried to predict the next frame. Based on that, they then wanted to predict the next frame, but like a game of telephone, it got off track pretty quickly. If this makes it out of the lab, it may keep you safer, like safety mechanisms on your car, but in some cases, it might put some living, breathing being out of a job.
What we are launching is a new facial recognition technology which works in real world on real people, but also on real people on any medium like print, magazine or TV. Yes, you can blame George Clooney on the street and get all publicly available information about it, but in a very interesting format. His movies, what he's done, what he stands for. So the creator profile is very easy. It actually doesn't use your Facebook photos or Google account. Immediately after your face is recognizable, you can add a lot of content to it. You can add YouTube videos, you can add your curated Spotify list. It could be very relevant in dating because strangers meet all the time in interesting places. You don't have badges, you don't have business cards. You really can exchange a lot of instant information about someone and put it in your phone itself. This kind of engine would play a very, very big role to give you information about whatever drives your curiosity.
Some of the biggest internet companies in the world are joining forces to fight terrorist content online. Facebook, Microsoft, Twitter, and YouTube said in a joint statement they will create a shared database of flagged terrorist content. With the use of unique digital fingerprints, otherwise known as hashes, they can track violent terrorist imagery or terrorist recruitment videos or images that violate content policies. By having access to this combined database, the tech giants hope to identify potential terrorist content more efficiently on their respective platforms.
Apple's frustrating Maps app will be getting a makeover to take on Google. In an effort to catch up with Google Maps technology, Apple Maps will be stepping up their game by using drones. Bloomberg reports Apple's jump to the next level will require aerial robots as well as indoor navigation technology. Nowadays, Apple makes use of vans equipped with camera sensors, but these are expensive and require a lot of manpower. Drones instead are smaller, light, and can fly around and get in areas that vans can't. They will examine street signs, track changes to roads, and keep an eye on construction areas. This information will then be reflected on the Maps app, providing accurate information. Bloomberg reports an Apple Maps new feature may include views inside buildings and improvements to car navigation. The Federal Aviation Administration granted permission to Apple to fly drones for commercial purpose, restricted only during daytime and requiring licensed pilots to operate the equipment while keeping the drones in their line of sight.
This is a film that is made by John Pilger, and it investigates and reveals this massive build-up of American military forces around China. So what's being reported in the mainstream media as China's ambitious expansion, its reclaiming of land in the South China Sea, is in fact a response, because according to Pilger, what's not being reported is that China itself is under threat. So this pivot to Asia that President Obama talked about in 2011 has resulted in 400 US bases encircling China, essentially. Bases in Guam, elsewhere in the South China Sea, in South Korea, in Japan, forming what Pilger calls in this film a noose around China. And it's a noose that is made up of missiles and warships and even nuclear weapons.
The winner of the Nobel Peace Prize, President Barack Obama, has committed to trillions of dollars to our nuclear arsenal. He's committing trillions of future dollars to war in space. And we need an enemy for all this money, and China's the perfect enemy.
With his second term in office drawing to a close, U.S. President Barack Obama has delivered his final national security speech, in which he defended his administration's legacy in fighting terrorism.
For 8 years that I've been in office, there has not been a day when a terrorist organization or some radicalized individual was not plotting to kill Americans. And on January 20th, I will become the first president of the United States to serve 2 full terms during a time of war.
In the speech, he reiterated what have been some of the common themes throughout the Obama presidency. He talked about the rule of law. Now, when he described U.S. operations and efforts against terrorism, he spoke about them as if they had been very, very successful. However, it seems that there's a lot more terrorism and instability in the world today than there was 15 years ago when the war on terrorism began. You can take a look at Libya and Syria, 2 countries that are just full of terrorism and instability and violence.
Muammar Gaddafi has lost legitimacy to lead, and he must leave.
Canada has agreed to send troops to Latvia in the new year as a part of a NATO mission to deter Russia from invading the country.
It's sending 450 troops to Latvia. It's going to cost the nation, us, Canada, about $350 million to do. It's a mission over 3 years. So the Canadian troops themselves will be the commanding force there. There will be about 1,000 troops altogether, NATO troops, including troops from Albania, Italy, and Poland. 1,000 troops in Latvia to do what? That's the big question. So playing a part in NATO is one thing. Many Canadians believe that we should be putting our money someplace better than that, possibly to peacekeeping missions, something that I believe and many other Canadians believe we are traditionally known for, not saber rattling right next door to Russia. So, the excuses always are, well, Russia's building up its troops presence along its borders. That's its borders. That's borders it's defending. And when you have NATO sending people like this right to its border, what do you expect Russia to do?
NATO head Jens Stoltenberg said the economic sanctions imposed on Russia over the Ukraine crisis must be kept in place in order for Moscow to meet its Minsk ceasefire commitments. He also said the international community must continue to pressure Russia to respect its obligations as the security situation in eastern Ukraine remains serious. Stoltenberg said this after NATO foreign ministers met their Ukrainian counterpart in Brussels on Wednesday. The 28-nation European Union, of which 22 are NATO members, imposed economic sanctions on Russia after a Malaysian airliner was shot down over rebel-held territory in eastern Ukraine. That was in July 2014. The measures are now up for renewal amid doubts about their effectiveness and cost, as well as concerns that U.S. President-elect Donald Trump may take a softer line on Russia.
The USS George H.W. Bush aircraft carrier, a massive ship nearly as long as the Empire State Building is tall, launched the first jets to carry out American airstrikes against ISIS in 2014. Today, more than 2 years and over 16,000 airstrikes later, the USS Bush and its crew are once again making preparations to rejoin the battle against ISIS. However, this time around, the USS Bush will be headed into a much different war zone, with ISIS still holding out in the besieged city of Mosul, the Russian aircraft carrier, the Admiral Kuznetsov, patrolling the waters off the coast of Syria, and boats belonging to the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps harassing U.S. ships in the region. The USS Bush, with a crew of approximately 5,000 men and women and carrying a complement of 65 various aircraft, is expected to deploy following the holidays in early 2017.
Our top story for this half hour. Syrian military sources say Israel has launched rocket attacks targeting a military airport near the Syrian capital Damascus. The ground-to-ground missiles were reportedly launched from inside the occupied territories and hit Mazeh airport west of Damascus. The rockets triggered a fire, but no casualties have been reported so far. The Israeli military has not commented on the report. It was the second such attack by Israel over the past week. On November the 30th, Israeli jets fired 2 missiles from Lebanese airspace towards the outskirts of Damascus.
In a rare and interesting manner, the Israeli Defense Forces released to Twitter on Tuesday a map of southern Lebanon which points out all the known military infrastructure belonging to Hezbollah. Hezbollah is an Iranian-backed terror organization, and the map, showing just the section of Lebanon along the northern Israeli and western Syrian borders, is meant to display Israeli intelligence gathering capabilities, as well as make the case for possible future strikes. The map, which was declassified for the above reasons, illustrates that while Hezbollah has indeed been embroiled in the Syrian civil war, they haven't forgotten about future conflicts with Israel. Dotted across the image are 85 civilian villages, heavily mixed between weapons warehouses, infantry positions, underground infrastructures, rocket launchers, anti-tank positions, and command posts. The deliberate mixing of military installations with the civilian population is what drove the IDF caption below the tweet, simply reading, "This is a war crime." To prevent continued arms stockpiling in the region, Israel has admitted to dozens of strikes on weapons and other military convoys en route to the terror group by way of Syria. One such strike was just last week, and in April, the Israeli Prime Minister promised to continue targeting the smuggling of game-changing weaponry.
We have some breaking news to report. President-elect Donald Trump is Time Magazine's new Person of the Year. Take a look at the cover there. Time calling Trump President of the Divided States of America. Trump says it is a great honor, and he is fresh off the latest stop on his thank you tour. Trump spoke to supporters in North Carolina last night, introducing his pick for Defense Secretary General James Mattis.
Donald Trump has tapped Oklahoma Attorney General Scott Pruitt to head the Environmental Protection Agency. Pruitt has a long history with the EPA, but it's not a friendly one. Pruitt has argued against environmental regulations and played a role in the 28-state lawsuit against President Obama following his new effort to cut carbon emissions.
Pruitt claims the debate over climate change is far from settled and has repeatedly sued the EPA over fossil fuel regulations.
It is the most damning thing that I see with respect to our ability to grow as a country.
According to an official on Wednesday, President-elect Donald Trump will nominate Iowa Governor Terry Branstad as the next U.S. ambassador to China. The appointment of Branstad may help ease trade tensions between the two countries, as the governor is considered to be a long-standing friend of Beijing. The move also suggests that Trump may take a less combative stance towards China than many expected after angering the world's second-largest economy by recently speaking to Taiwan's president.
Branstad has had a good relationship with China, calling President Xi Jinping a longtime friend when he visited Iowa in 2012. Branstad had also met several times with Chinese leaders. As governor of Iowa, he established close relations with China in trade, education, medicine, and sports. The Chinese Foreign Ministry has said Branstad is an old friend, and ministry spokesman Lu Kang said China welcomes him to play a greater role in advancing bilateral relations.
Well, today a local production company filed a lawsuit challenging Minnesota law. They say the law could make them make films for things that go against their religious beliefs. But one organization says what the couple is demanding is discriminatory.
Carl Larson and his wife own a production business called Telescope Media Group.
On Tuesday, they filed a lawsuit against the Minnesota Department of Human Rights because under state law, the Larsons have to offer their services to everyone, even to those who want them to film something that goes against their conservative Christian beliefs, like same-sex marriage. They are filing a lawsuit in federal court, hoping a judge will not force them to offer their services for those types of projects.
I believe that the Bible clearly states that marriage is a holy institution, a sacred covenant in between one man and one woman.
Teresa Nelson is with the American Civil Liberties Union of Minnesota. She says no matter how they present their argument in court, what the Larsons are demanding is discriminatory.
And it sends a message, especially to gay couples, that you are worth less.
And she says if they win, their lawsuit could welcome other business owners to discriminate against various groups of people.
Anybody could cite a religious belief that says, I don't want to serve people like you.
If the Larsons lose, they say they will not film weddings for anyone.
A controversial abortion rule is headed to Ohio Governor John Kasich's desk. The heartbeat bill, as it's known, would ban abortions once a fetus's heartbeat can be detected, usually around 6 weeks into pregnancy. This isn't the first time Ohio has tried to pass this provision, but it never made it through the state Senate. This time, the abortion ban was tacked onto a larger bipartisan bill aimed to make it easier for medical professionals to report signs of child abuse. Kasich has a few options. He can sign the bill or just let it sit on his desk for just long enough. Either option would make the heartbeat amendment law by early next year. The governor of Ohio also has the power of line item veto, so Kasich could simply take out the heartbeat measure and pass the bill in its original form. If Kasich vetoes the bill in its entirety, a 3/5 vote in the State House and Senate would override the governor. The heartbeat bill would only allow for an abortion if the mother is at risk of death or irreversible impairment of a major bodily function. There are no exceptions for pregnancies in case of rape or incest. Kasich has said he is anti-abortion with the exception of rape, incest, or if the life of the mother is at risk.
The Water Protectors have a new mission. After nearly 5,000 U.S. military veterans joined the front line at Standing Rock, protesting with Native Americans against the construction of the Dakota Access Pipeline, a new movement is in the works to help the people of Flint, Michigan. U.S. Army veteran Wesley Clark Jr., who helped organize the Veterans Initiative, told MLive.com that veterans will head to Flint next. This problem is all over the country. It's got to be more than veterans. People have been treated wrong in this country for a long time. The Flint water crisis, which is ongoing, began when the city switched its water supply in 2014. Despite residents, a black majority population, issuing complaints about the quality of water, city and state officials denied for months that there was a serious problem. By that time, supply pipes had sustained major corrosion and lead was leaching into the water. The city switched back to its original water supply, but it was too late. The damage to the pipes and the people drinking the water was irreversible. According to the World Health Organization, high blood lead levels are especially harmful to children and pregnant women and can cause learning disabilities, behavioral problems, and mental retardation. There is no timetable set for when the veterans and activists will head to Flint. Many have vowed to stay until the Standing Rock Sioux ask them to leave. Marine Corps veteran Jade Emilio Snell says that he took an oath to not just protect Americans in foreign countries, but inside of it too.
Hi, kitty kitties. Hi, kitty kitties.
Not a lot of time for small talk.
Lunches.
For Phyllis Shaughnessy this summer.
Good morning, doggies. Look out.
She's too busy.
See, there they all are waiting.
Every weekday this summer.
There's only 2 of you today? All right. Have a happy day.
She's been delivering lunches to kids in Grays Harbor County.
Okay, sounds good. It's a depressed area with no business, no industry. There's no work. There are no jobs.
When she found out the school districts in the North Beach area were not offering free or reduced lunches this summer, she started fundraising.
We're working all summer with no pay. It's all volunteer because we don't have funds for pay.
Using the Green Lantern Tavern's kitchen, every morning volunteers pack lunches with non-perishable items.
Okay, top ramen, fruit snacks.
And then Phyllis and a handful of other drivers
Good morning!
deliver the sack lunches. She hands out about 90 every day.
Is that all you got today is 2?
Yep, the 2. Thank you very much.
You're offering the children hope and love and a lunch. They need to know that somebody cares.
Anytime we actually see a blue car, they're like, oh, the lunch lady. I'm like, no, that's not her.
You got it?
The parents look forward to the daily deliveries too.
It helps a lot. There is free lunch up at school, and that's what all the kids are on, the free lunch and breakfast program. And so in the summertime, that bill goes way up.
This was an adventure the first day I came down here.
Things will slow down for Phyllis when school starts next month.
Are you ready for school to start?
Yeah.
But friends she's met this summer
I'll be bringing school supplies pretty soon.
have inspired her to keep raising funds to feed these children over weekends and holidays and next summer.
It's my job. We're all put on the earth to do something. Better to give than to take. Have a good day.